And I'm Jenna Morton, and we are here with part 2 of our Women in Politics series.
Yeah, who knew?
It is a reoccurring theme on the show, to be fair.
It's true.
If you go back through our 100+ episodes, we come back to this one every so often.
We do, yeah.
But this conversation we were having last week on the episode with Tammy Rampersaud and Melanie Lamb was just so good we couldn't let them go. So they're back again.
Welcome back, ladies.
There we got the jazz hands.
See, this is why we had to keep going, because they're just really starting to open up and relax. So we've got another 20 minutes to talk about empowering women to enter politics, particularly in New Brunswick, where I think we still have some barriers that other parts of the country might be like, well, didn't we break those down 20 years ago?
Welcome to New Brunswick. Yeah. But I think, and that's a good point, when we do see women in politics here, they tend to be like after their kids have moved out of the house or gone away to college. So I kind of thought maybe we could start this episode off with you guys, maybe even just giving those first little tips, like what gave you the kick in the pants to start it while your kids were young, instead of waiting until all the kids had gotten to college or high school even.
Sure. Me first.
Sure. Yeah, you first. Go for it.
The great thing is that this past election, there were more women running municipally than ever before. So that was so encouraging when I saw those statistics come out. And I think that's because we're talking about it more. I've always been interested in politics. All through university, I worked for elections and found it fascinating as to what happened. And then, you know, my work in different groups and that sort of thing made me realize that I wanted to have an opportunity to affect and communicate change in a different area, or a way that I felt maybe I could make a more lasting difference. And then really, actually, the whole conversation started and segmented when Elena Lockhart ran for municipal in the provincial election, or not municipal, the provincial election. And my daughter, who was 2 at the time, was like, why are all those men? Oh, look, Mommy, there's a girl. Yeah. Why is that girl running? And it became a conversation. And then when she won as the first female to win in our riding ever, provincially. Federally, sorry. I'm nervous. Federally, that it was a huge thing in our family. We talked about it a lot. She got to, Nadia's nonpartisan, so she has Mike Holland on speed dial, and she had Elena Lockhart on speed dial. And it became a conversation that we had, and it made me realize that I wanted to really model, not only for myself, to be able to influence change, but also to model that behavior for her and other girls. And literally when I ran, after we got the results, I was walking down the street, just walking my dog, and there was 3 ladies across the street from me, and I'm assuming grandmother, daughter, and granddaughter. And they all called out and said, and I'll never forget it, I went home and cried afterwards. The grandmother said, "We're so proud of you. You did so well." And the daughter said, "Congratulations. We voted." And the little girl said, "Girls rule." And I'm like, this is why. Because it gave a voice to maybe 3 individuals who wouldn't have used it before. And that was my motivation. That's how, I still, it gives me goosebumps. Yeah. And it always will. And that's why I will, even in hard days, moments of celebration, I think of them. Moments of difficulty, I think of them as well. And that's why I do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a powerful moment. It really was.
And it makes all of us cry.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. And I've had those moments too where throughout different campaigns, it's, you know, everybody, I've had gentlemen say the kindest things to me too and are very supportive. But it's the, not just women, but the young girls who say things to me that, and this last time I felt like I disappointed them somehow, and I don't like living with that. And I know realistically that's not how it is, but I thought of them right away. Like they had my heart, right? But in 2012 was the first time I ran in Ward 2 in town. And I ran because I had gotten involved with the school and the arts center and so many different things locally that it led me to wanting to make a big bigger difference, right? A big picture difference. And it's funny because in 2016, when I was elected, we had 4 women on council and 4 men. And we were lucky too because we had varying ages, which was really nice.
Yeah,
And
really good.
a couple of people pointed that out quite often. And I was asked to speak with different groups at different forums about diversity and the need for more women and how they can get involved and the barriers. And I was told, but we have 4 here. And I said, but you're never guaranteed that again. Yeah. That's one term. You're never guaranteed that. That's never happened before. You don't know what's going to happen again. And this time there's 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's always a need to empower others, to know that they have the support, to try and break down those barriers that do exist, you know, and make it so that they feel like they have the support to try, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit, because you touched on it there, but the age factor, right? That one council was fantastic to look at in terms of, you know, gender equality and the age differences that were represented. And I know my husband and I will kind of joke because we're like, wow, it seems like more young people are in politics. And we're like, no, they're our age. That just means that we're old. But still, when you look at the makeup of municipal, provincial, or federal, especially in this part of the country, there's usually, you know, 1 or 2 standouts. You know, New Brunswick has a history of having very young premiers, but everyone else has gray hair. And I say that as someone who really actually does. So
I do too.
Like, I'm not trying to be ageist, but we have a tendency, and I'm wondering, do we only elect people who are older? Do we only have people who are older that are running? And how is that playing out these days in politics? How did you feel? Like, did you feel young? Did you feel old? Did you feel like all those voices were at play?
Yeah, exactly. And you hear that too at the doors. And again, it's varying. Some people are more progressive in the way that they don't see running as a woman or a younger person as a bad thing. Some people could look at either of those and think it's terrible, right? But sitting on, not only as a director, but as an executive member of the Union of Municipalities, we would have our AGM, and you have representatives from everywhere, basically across the province. And let me tell you, you're a minority in there as a female and as a younger person. So it's very enlightening. Everybody's very respectful, but it's interesting. So I think, you know, we all need to do more to support people that are younger, that are female plus, that might be considering it, to know that they should do what they want to do. And that it's not unheard of to take those steps, right? People need to feel supported. They need to know that they're not out in left field, and they have a right to do that.
Exactly. And I think in our situation in Hillsborough, because it is so much smaller of a municipality, and the time commitment is what it is, most of us have to work full time and still serve, which I know is common amongst, but because of those situations, maybe it lends itself to someone who might be in retirement or semi-retirement. It would be a lot easier than trying to start to build a business again and that sort of thing. So it is, the environment is as such that I think it more naturally supports individuals on that part of the spectrum. Not that it should, and I think more individuals who are younger, are, you know, more diverse, having different employment expectations, I think that can only help, because again, if you're not there to ask the question, then there's never going to be an answer to it. So I think that plays a role.
And I think some of that is perception too of how it always was. And that's what I mean about supporting
Yes,
people
exactly.
and talking to them like, no, you do have the time to
You
do
do have the
this.
time.
You can do this. It doesn't just have to be retired people doing
Exactly.
this. You know what I mean? And like, look how many young people ran this time around in town.
Yes.
Quite a few young people ran. And, you know, younger people are passionate too. They want to run. So I think some of it is just a perception that, oof, maybe it's not something I should be dipping my toes into. Right. And of course it should be.
Yes.
If you care about your community and you want to be involved, do it.
Exactly. There are ways, and we can ask us questions, right? Do it.
Yeah.
Just try.
Well, and that's exactly it. And I think that a lot of us, like, for example, I mean, I grew up in a small town, quite like Riverview, and my grandfather was on council, but he was a grandfather.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it really does lend its hand to, like, if the younger you start, the further you can go as well. So it's a really great idea, I think, to start where you can, and even if it is working on the campaign trail with some people, right? And then dipping your toes in that
involved.
way.
I'm starting in Hillsborough a youth council. So, and my fellow councillors have supported that we start a youth council so we can have a youth councillor representing the needs and the wants, the desires of the young people in our community. So I think with some outside of the box thinking and some very pointed engagement opportunities that we can start to see the trend, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a trend, that more younger people are getting more involved. And as long as we continue to build opportunities to support them to do that, then I hope that will continue to go up.
That's amazing. And I love that you were supported in getting that, that going.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. And if we do, just quickly, our younger demographic, they're brilliant, right?
Brilliant.
They're, you know, we hear other generations, doggone generations, but they are brilliant and they do research and they're so conscious about the issues that they care about. They're conscious about who they will support because maybe that business supports or doesn't support this initiative or this cause. So it is so important to get them involved younger and knowing that they have a say and that this is their community and they are entitled to having a seat there as well. Yeah.
I agree.
That's something we're finding on the Chamber of Commerce as well, which is also something you associate with older people. With the Albert County Chamber of Commerce, we're finding the people that we're having applying for being on the board are younger, and then no problem finding a youth committee to be with that as well, which is really neat to see these kids who, with the Albert County